I'm Richard Abrams, and I'm Kelsey's grandfather. Christmas was very nice. My mother was very had a good imagination, and we'd go out in the woods and cut down a tree, and we'd decorate it. And we just had simple gifts. We didn't give too much. And then we always had a big meal at both Christmas and Thanksgiving, and had a big family, and everything was a lot of fun.
Hi, I'm Jeanette Abrams. I'm Kelsey's grandma. I don't really have much memories about when I learned about Adolf Hitler, but you would hear about him in the newsreels when you go to the movies. That's where we saw most of the information about the war. I was only from 9 till about 13 during World War II, so I didn't know very much about what was going on. The Holocaust, I don't even remember anything about it during the war. I think more was said about it later on in life, and probably till I was about 30 I didn't really hear much about it. But because of my age during the war, I probably wouldn't have heard too much.
What I remember a lot about the Holocaust, and my brother was in France and Germany, and he saw the concentration camps, and he saw bodies just piled up as high as they could go of corpses, and said it was very, very brutal and just sickening, really, to see all of this. And that's really where I learned most about the Holocaust, after I started reading a lot about the Holocaust and the concentration camps. And I read Anne Frank and different books like that. So it was a pretty terrible experience.
What brother was this?
Brother Bob, my brother Bob, who was the second oldest child in the family.
Did he call y'all and tell y'all anything about what he had seen, or did he telegram you or something?
He actually wrote, and what he could write that wasn't censored. That's how we found out about it. And then he told me about it when he got back. When he was discharged from the army, and told us how bad it was. And of course, I read much about it and realized that it was really not trying to annihilate a whole race of people. Okay. My reaction at first, when I was a teenager, was not very much. I mean, I believed it, but I didn't truly realize how terrible it really was. And then as I got older, I read more and more accounts, and saw movies about the Holocaust and a lot of film, and it was just a horrible experience. And it didn't really affect me that much, but it affected me as a human being, that people could be that cruel.
Well, really the only thing I remember doing is at school you could take like a quarter to school, and you could buy, I don't know if they called them victory stamps or what, and you'd put them in a little book, and when you got enough up to $25, or either, I think it was $18.75, then you could buy a bond, a $25 bond, and that was, of course, for the war. I don't know that it had anything to do with the Holocaust, but just war bonds.
My name is Paul Coleman, and I am Kelsey's father. Well, obviously there's a lot of genocide that occurs around the world over time. Laos was one. Back during the Vietnam War, there was atrocities and organized genocide. Other countries too, more recently the Sudan, The reason why those are two countries now is the genocide from Muslims against primarily Christians in the southern part of the Sudan. Rwanda, Uganda, and other countries in Africa periodically have genocide, some against one tribe to another, some against the government, against the people. So there's always one going on somewhere in the news. And I keep up with those kind of things through the news.
I'm Karen Coleman, and I am Kelsey Coleman's mother. Okay, as far as recent happenings that are similar to the Holocaust, I keep up with some things. I mean, read some things about them or see things online. And again, probably a lot of it comes from movies I've seen. I watched Hotel Rwanda, and I've seen some other things similar to that. So, I'm somewhat aware, but not aware enough. And, it's one of those things that you think, as you're seeing it, you think, oh, that's terrible, but almost have the feeling I have no idea what I could do to help something like that. Of course, some of those are things in the past, but I know there are things going on like that all over the world. But just as far as what could be done, just never have really learned enough.
Okay, I think your generation can learn from the past and realize how horrible the genocide was during the Holocaust and afterward, and now all the recent atrocities in the countries such as Syria and Egypt, Arabia, and all these other nations, and the African nations. You can probably become more aware and learn not only from the past, but also learn how the new generation is becoming more aware by, greater news media, and also raising funds for fighting the genocide, the leaders of the genocide.
I think your generation needs to be aware of everything that happens every day in this world. In government, in politics, in economics, in military intervention from one nation to another. If there's not a clear intention of what a military operation is, unfortunately that turns into genocide. And I think young people need to be aware of that, to research it, and have an interest in world affair and what's going on in the world today, and not be afraid to speak up when they start seeing these things happen again.
I'm Mandy Coleman. I'm Kelsey Coleman's older sister. I think as a generation, it's our job to learn from the past, be educated, to understand what happened in the past and why, and learn from mistakes that people made in the past, and make sure that our generation and the future generations don't forget, and that they know what happened. And it's also important to raise awareness about things that are either going on now or what happened in the past, to make sure that we see what's happening in the world, that we know what's going on in our world, we know what's happening in current events, and there's a lot of things we can't do. We can't control what a dictator does in another country, but if you raise awareness about things, then that helps your generation to make sure that we know what's going on rather than just focusing on ourselves.
So that was some interviews that I did with my family to get their perspective on genocide during the Holocaust and genocide today and what our generation can do. I then interviewed some of my friends to get some of their perspective on genocide and, what they think of it and what they think our generation can do. Unfortunately, with most people my generation, they went about it in a humorous way, which is totally understandable because it is an uncomfortable topic. So while you see them say it in a funny, uncomfortable way, I think they come at it with a sense of compassion, but still using humor to guard maybe what they really feel. So out of all the people I interviewed, my friends were the most interesting to see their reaction, because while it was humorous and, guarded, it still had the meaning and most true and honest answers that I found. So I think you'll really enjoy some of their answers.
Genocide today, like, what do you mean? Like, in Africa?
Just everywhere. Start the Holocaust.
I think the Holocaust is really important and interesting to study.
Okay. And what about you think about genocide today?
I think that it's crazy that it's still going on.
Alright. What have you done to help stop it?
I watched a lot of World War II movies. I've donated to African children.
Okay. What do you think our generation can do to help stop genocide?
Take trips.
Take trips?
To those places.
I'll ask you in a second.
Take trips to those places and educate them and be friendly and be helpful and nice and appreciative and happy and give love to them.
Okay. Thank you,
But
sir.
I don't know how to do that. But I like that idea, I don't know how to actually bring about that change. I don't know if it's a risky thing to do that.
Okay. Thank you. So what do you think our generation can do to help end genocide?
We can look upon people with colorblind eyes and help stop the bad genocide that is happening by donating to nonprofit organizations that know what they're doing, since we don't know what we're doing personally. But I'm sure those nonprofit organizations do.
Do you think the government should get involved?
Yes.
Serious question.
It's serious.
What do you think our generation could do to help end genocide?
Help what?
End genocide.
Can you define genocide?
It's a tough question.
It is a really tough question, but I think that
It's not something that we think about every day.
I think about it every day when I replace the word "you" with "Jew" in every song that I sing.
Oh my gosh.
This is for real, Katie.
This is a documentary.
This is for her Holocaust.
Are you serious? Okay.
And she has to use
What can
every
we do?
clip.
Are you serious?
No, I'll edit it.
Okay, things that you can do to end genocide. I don't know. When I read Lord of the Flies, basically when they were put in the situation where they had no other resources, they turned on each other, and that kind of caused it. So maybe making sure that everybody has a lot of stuff.